All right, let's dive into a story that's basically a high-stakes geopolitical chess match. It's all about how India, facing some serious pressure from the United States, made a really risky bet on just being patient. And believe me, that bet completely flipped the game on its head.
It all boils down to this one big question, right? When you're in a high-pressure trade war, what's the winning move? Do you act fast, try to stop the bleeding and get a deal done quickly? Or do you play the long game? As you're about to find out, picking the right path can be worth billions. So to really get what happened here, we need to set the scene. For over a year, India and the Trump administration were locked in these super intense trade talks, and the pressure on India, it was massive.
50%. Yeah, you heard that right. That was the staggering tariff level the US was using as a weapon against India. This wasn't some friendly negotiation, it was pure economic hardball. It was a move designed to force India's hand and get them to sign a deal, fast, on Washington's terms.
So with that kind of pressure, the US was pushing hard. The message was basically, sign this final binding deal right now, and all this pain goes away. But India did something pretty unexpected. They resisted. They chose a much slower, more careful strategy.
And then, just when it looked like things were settling into a long stalemate, boom, the entire chessboard gets flipped over. And the rule change came from a place that literally nobody in the trade world saw coming, the US Supreme Court.
I mean, things changed with lightning speed. One minute, you have these complicated country-specific tariffs in place. The next, the Supreme Court steps in and strikes them down, basically saying they were illegal. So, in response, the administration has to pivot, right? They quickly announce a brand new, flat 15% tariff for every single nation. The entire game was different in just a matter of days.
And this is the moment where India's decision to just wait it out paid off, big time. Suddenly, that slow, deliberate approach didn't look weak at all. It looked like an absolute masterstroke. India's patience was about to be proven right.
So what exactly is this strategic patience? Well, think of it as the art of not getting scared into a bad deal. It means you consciously refuse to sign an agreement when you're under extreme pressure, because you know that a pact signed under duress is almost never a good one for you in the long run. It's like an insurance policy in a world where the rules can change overnight. And this right here is the absolute key to the whole thing. India never signed that final rigid deal the US was pushing. Nope. Instead, they signed what's called a framework agreement. Think of it less like a locked-in contract and more like a blueprint for a future deal. And that little distinction, it turned out to mean everything.
And here it is, the aha moment. Buried deep inside that framework was this little golden clause. It's pretty much a built-in escape hatch. It says that if one side, let's say the US, suddenly changes all the tariff rules, then the other side gets to reopen the entire discussion. India had brilliantly given itself an out.
Now, to really appreciate how smart this move was, we have to look at what happened to someone else. Let's do a little compare and contrast between India's situation and the European Union's, because the EU took a very, very different approach.
And wow, the difference is just night and day. On one side, you've got India with its flexible agreement and that crucial renegotiation clause, which now puts them in a much stronger position. And on the other side, the EU. They signed a rigid, final deal, so now they're locked into terms based on a tariff system that literally doesn't even exist anymore. They're in a really tough, uncertain spot.
And the EU's official response to all of this? Just 4 words. A deal is a deal. I mean, that kind of blunt language tells you just how uncomfortable their position is. That's the sound of a negotiator who knows their hands are tied.
So what does this all mean for what happens next? Because this isn't just about the past. This is about how the entire balance of power has shifted, creating a whole new playing field for any future talks. The single biggest thing to come out of this is that the US administration's main bargaining chip, those punishing, country-specific tariffs, was taken right off the table. And not by a rival country, but by its own Supreme Court. Their negotiating leverage has been seriously weakened.
So now, coming from this new position of strength, India's list of priorities is going to look a lot different. You can bet they'll be pushing for safeguards against any more sudden policy changes. They'll want stronger ways to handle disputes. And they can now absolutely demand more concessions, since the starting point for everyone is that new, flat 15% tariff.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? It's that India's measured, patient strategy, which probably looked way too slow from the outside, paid off in a spectacular way. They avoided a trap, they kept their options open, and now they're in the perfect spot to get a much, much better final deal.
You know, this case is so much more than just a win for one country. It's a powerful lesson in modern negotiation, and it leaves us with one final big question. In an era of such unpredictable policy, did India's strategic patience just rewrite the playbook for global trade for good?